Zionist Organization of America, New England Region, Kfar Silver Scholarship Banquet, Commemorating Israel's 25th Anniversary, and the Zionist Organization of America's 75th Jubilee Year. Sunday, May 20th, 1973. Statler Hilton Hotel, Georgian Room, Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome. In that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land. Genesis 15 verse 18. On behalf of the Zionist Organization of America, New England Region, it gives us pleasure to extend a hearty welcome on this auspicious occasion, at which we celebrate Israel's 25th anniversary and Zionist Organization of America's 75th Jubilee Year. The 75th Jubilee anniversary of the Zionist Organization of America, the pioneer body and prime mover of Zionism in the United States, is an historic milestone in the annals of American Zionism, even as the 25th anniversary of the State of Israel is an historic milestone in the annals of the Jewish people. The Zionist organization played a vital role in the creation of the State of Israel, and with unabated vigor continues the struggle to strengthen Israel's security and economy. The American Zionist Fund, the strong arm of the Zionist Organization of America, promotes and supports its enlarged program and scope of activities, which include the mobilizing of public opinion on behalf of Soviet Jewry, encouraging American Aliyah, Zionist youth work on and off campus, strengthening Masada, the youth movement of the ZOA, developing education in Israel through the Kfar Silver Agricultural and Technical High Schools, and the Molly Goodman Academic High School. We want you to know that you have made an invaluable contribution to the success of this very important drive, the proceeds of which will go towards the Kfar Silver Scholarship Fund. We wish to express our deep appreciation for your excellent response and to thank you for your splendid support. Also, our heartiest thanks to the members of the banquet committee and all those who helped to make this Kfar Silver banquet a success. Philip Wernick, President, ZOA New England Region, Joseph I. Sargan, General Chairman, Reuben Epstein, Dinner Chairman, Governor Francis W. Sargent, Man of the Year Award, in recognition of a distinguished career noted for an outstanding record of achievements, which have won for him high esteem, praise, and admiration. His public-spirited acts, inspiring leadership in the welfare of the Commonwealth and interest in Israel, have created a profound impression. Gerald R. Ford. Gerald R. Ford, born in Omaha, Nebraska, in 1913, spent his childhood in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He earned a BA degree from the University of Michigan, where he was a member of Michigamua, top senior honor, and received his law degree from Yale University Law School. He was admitted to the Michigan State Bar in 1941 and has been admitted to practice before the United States Supreme Court. Gerald Ford was elected to Congress in 1949 and was re-elected to his 12th consecutive term as a member of Congress in 1970. Chosen minority leader of the House of Representatives at the opening of the 89th Congress in 1965, he has served as a member of the Republican leadership in Congress since 1963. During his terms of office, he has served on the House Public Works Committee, the Appropriations Committee, on the Select Committee on Astronautics and Space Exploration, on the subcommittees on Foreign Operations, and the Department of Defense. He has maintained an attendance record of over 90% throughout his 22-year tenure. Representative Ford's support of and interest in Israel was initiated back in 1951, when he signed the House Declaration in favor of a proposal for economic assistance. Since then, he has consistently supported both economic and military aid for Israel in Congress and in appeals to the administration. Congressman Ford married Elizabeth Bloomer of Grand Rapids in 1948. They have 3 sons and a daughter. Zionist Organization of America, New England Region, proudly presents the 5th Annual Louis D. Brandeis Award to Anne and Milton C. Borenstein. The Zionist Organization of America, New England Region, proudly presents the 5th Annual Louis D. Brandeis Award to Anne and Milton C. Borenstein. Although each of them gives individual services to the community, Mr. and Mrs. Borenstein very often work together as a husband and wife team in joint endeavors. Both have a profound capacity for service, a deep appreciation of our Jewish heritage, and a sincere commitment to philanthropy. Each quality is a distinctive trait of Anne and Milton C. Borenstein. They both possess an exuberance of spirit, an affection for people, and a dedication to many worthwhile endeavors, which they so willingly serve. A graduate of Harvard Law School and a successful industrialist, Mr. Borenstein has made a parallel career as a worker and leader in Jewish and worthy civic causes, devoted to relief, rehabilitation, education, community relations, and culture. He is devoted to Zionism and is an active member of the Zionist Organization of America, Brookline, Brighton, Newton District, where he is currently a vice president. His interest in the state of Israel and world Jewish causes brought him into active participation in the combined Jewish philanthropies of Greater Boston, where he is a trustee and where he has served in many capacities. He is also treasurer of the Congregation Kehilloth Israel Brookline, a member of the Board of Overseers of the Theological Seminary of America, treasurer of the New England region of the American Jewish Congress, a director of the American Friends of Hebrew University, a member of the National Council of the Joint Distribution Committee, a leader of the Israel Bond Organization, a trustee of the Chelsea Memorial Hospital, associate national chairman of the Scholarship Committee of Harvard Law School, a life member of the Brandeis Associates, a trustee of the Hebrew Rehabilitation Center for the Aged in Boston, trustee of the Jewish Memorial Hospital, and a member of the President's Council of Sarah Lawrence College. The 5th Annual Louis D. Brandeis Award takes on a unique significance this year, since this is the first time that a husband and wife are being honored by the Zionist Organization of America, New England region. In many respects, Anne Borenstein's interests and activities parallel her husband's in Jewish and civic concerns. Among a multitude of community service credits, past and present, Anne Borenstein has earned a distinctive record as a Jewish and communal worker. A graduate of Boston University, she has maintained a continuing interest in education, with special emphasis on helping underprivileged youth. In connection with this interest, she and her husband endowed a vocational high school in the municipality of Kfar Sava in Israel, located outside of Tel Aviv. They are also founders of Hebrew University and supporters of Technion, both in Israel. With her husband, she attended the combined Jewish Philanthropy Study Mission in Europe under the auspices of the Joint Distribution Committee in order to study the conditions of the remnants of European Jews and to help those Jews who yearn to live in Israel. She is a life member and trustee of many Jewish organizations in the community. Currently, she is chairman of World Affairs for the Sisterhood and for Congregation Kehilloth Israel and chairman of the American and Zionist Affairs for the Brookline Hadassah Group and for the 13 chapters of the Boston Hadassah region. She also lectures to many civic and Jewish organizations on world affairs, with special emphasis on American and Zionist events. Mr. and Mrs. Borenstein have 2 children, Roberta, a graduate of Sarah Lawrence College, presently a stockbroker in New York, and Jeffrey, a graduate of Harvard College and a Ph.D. candidate in physics at Harvard University. The Zionist Organization of America, New England region, is proud to honor Anne and Milton C. Borenstein and to present them with the 5th Annual Louis D. Brandeis Award for their community leadership and dedicated services to humanitarian causes. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Executive Department, State House, Boston 02133, May 9, 1973. Francis W. Sargent, Governor. To the Zionist Organization of America, New England Region. As Governor, I am pleased to extend the greetings of the Commonwealth to the Zionist Organization of America on its 75th anniversary. Few organizations have worked on behalf of Zionism and the State of Israel with the dedication of the ZOA. It can rightly take pride in its outstanding accomplishments during the past 75 years. At this time, on behalf of all the citizens of Massachusetts, I want to extend to the ZOA congratulations and very best wishes for the future. Sincerely, Francis W. Sargent. May the Zionist organization be a beacon light towards peace and security in the Middle East. Bangor Zionist District. Samuel Rolski, President. David Adelman. Harold Barron. Lawrence Burson. Harry Epstein. Arnold Garson. Neil Glazier. Sanford Miller. Alan Olive. Henry Siegel. Program. Hatikva. Cantor Jacob E. Tambor. Temple Beth Zion, Brookline. National Anthem. Invocation. Rabbi Manuel Saltzman, Congregation Kehilloth Israel, Brookline. Dinner. Welcome. Joseph I. Sargon, General Chairman. Greetings. Reuben Epstein, Banquet Chairman. Regional welcome. Philip Wernick, President ZOA New England Region. Presentation of Man of the Year Award. Governor Francis W. Sargent. Reuben Epstein. Response. The Honorable Governor Francis W. Sargent. Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Presentation of Louis D. Brandeis Award. And Milton C. Borenstein. Joseph I. Sargon. Response. And Borenstein. Milton C. Borenstein. Principal Address. Congressman Gerald R. Ford, Republican Minority Leader. U.S. House of Representatives. We salute Israel on her 25th anniversary historic achievements and unparalleled growth and progress, and the Zionist Organization of America's 75th Jubilee year. Brookline, Brighton, Newton Zionist District. Joseph I. Sargon, President. Anniversary greetings. Processors and distributors of fine fish and frozen fish and shellfish. Sayfrost Fish Co. Incorporated. Morris Entis Isidore Novak. 145 Northern Avenue, Boston, Massachusetts. 02210. Telephones. Area code 617-523-6308. 7067. Philip Simmons and Sons, Inc. 119 to 123 North Washington Street, Boston, Mass. Manufacturers of stainless hoods. In memoriam, Dr. Bessie N. Sharonson, a woman of valor, a dynamic and devoted worker for Hadassah, Zoa, and many Jewish and humanitarian causes. Citibank and Trust Company. Reuben Epstein, President. Main office, 25 Court Street, Boston 7423500. Branch offices, 130 Newmarket Square, Roxbury 1214, Blue Hill Avenue, Mattapan. 125 Harvard Avenue, Allston. Our newest branch office, 2193 Commonwealth Avenue, Brighton, at Lake Street. Call us for information about our no service charge checking accounts. Complete commercial and savings bank facilities. Member FDIC. Everett Zionist District. Samuel Glazer, Secretary. Max Bennett, President. In observance of the State of Israel's 25th anniversary, we pledge our continuous moral and financial support and dedication to the Zionist ideals, the Zionist Organization of America, and the New England region. Fall River Zionist District. H. Charles Reiser, President. Continuous compounding paid monthly. 6.27% effective yield. 6% annual rate. 2 years or longer on savings certificates. $1,000 minimum 6% annual rate. 6% effective yield. 5.75% annual rate. 1 to 2 years, $1,000 minimum savings certificate. 5.73% effective yield, 5.5% annual rate. No notice required after the first 90 days. On this 90-day notice passbook account. No minimum required. 5.47% effective yield. 5.25% annual rate. Regular savings interest paid from date of deposit to date of withdrawal, provided $10 remains in account to end of period. Save by mail postage, free interest paid, or credited monthly on all accounts. Homeowners Federal Savings and Loan Association. 21 Milk Street, Boston, Massachusetts. Parker House Office 60 Tremont Street. Dorchester Office 347 Washington Street. Garber Travel. 1406 Beacon Street, Brookline, Massachusetts 02146. Telephone 566-2100. A salute to Israel. Greetings from Middlesex Zionist District. Mr. and Mrs. Harry Ellis. Mr. and Mrs. Morris A. Goldman. Mr. and Mrs. Meyer Kessler. Mr. and Mrs. Morris A. Kleiman. Rabbi and Mrs. Leo Shubbo. Mr. and Mrs. Harry Socher. Tynine Chapels. Brookline, Dorchester. Anniversary greetings. Rhode Island Zionist District. Morton Y. Page, President. Compliments of Slumberland Products. Slumberland Drive, Woburn, Massachusetts. Compliments of LL Airlines. Travel in good company. LL. 607 Boylston Street, Boston. Telephone 267-9220. Anniversary greetings. MDRM Zionist District. Julian Golston, Secretary Hyman Wald, Chairman Presidium. Greetings and a salute to Israel with hopes for peace and security. Worcester Zionist District. Oscar Fainsilver, MD. President. Anniversary greetings. Amos Lodge No. 27, B'nai B'rith. Anniversary greetings. Sharon Zionist District. Leo Winselberg, President. Mazel Tov. Stan Hatoff. Hatoff's 3770 Washington Street. JA 41003 Jamaica Plain, Massachusetts. Anniversary greetings. Mr. and Mrs. William M. Silverman. Anniversary greetings. Thor Roofing Company, Incorporated. 504 to 510 Riverside Avenue, Medford, Massachusetts. 396-5420. Anniversary greetings. Elena Sportswear, Incorporated. 210 Broadway, Everett, Massachusetts. 387-0470. Anniversary greetings. Holyoke Zionist District. Anniversary greetings. Fitchburg Leominster Zionist District. Anniversary greetings. Nashua, New Hampshire Zionist District. Dr. Bella Fisher, President. SWBCO, Incorporated. Kosher Food Distributor. Canton, Massachusetts. Shafran's. Self-service meats with your approval. Heavy Western Beef. 425 Harvard Street, Brookline 827 Washington Street, Newtonville. Where shopping becomes an exciting adventure. Glick Brothers Kosher Poultry Products, Incorporated. 162 to 64 4th Street, Chelsea, Massachusetts. Exclusive New England distributors for Empire Kosher Poultry Products. Anniversary greetings. Chelsea Live Poultry Co. 160 4th Street, Chelsea, Massachusetts. Anniversary greetings. Blue Hill Credit Union. Chateau Garrett. 1581 Beacon Street, Brookline, Massachusetts. Compliments of Altshuler Genealogical Service. Mr. and Mrs. Lewis I. Altshuler. Mr. and Mrs. Milton S. Altshuler. Mr. and Mrs. Harry W. Moss. 762 Washington Street, Boston, Massachusetts. 02111. Chatty's Printing Company, Incorporated. Offset. Letterpress. Raised Printing. 286 Congress Street, Boston, Massachusetts. 02210. Liberty 2. 9495. In memory of Sidney Sugarman. Sugarman Brothers. Medford, Massachusetts. Herzl Zionist District. Morris Eisenberg. Mrs. Morris Entis. Mrs. Ira Hochberg. Presidium. Lowell Zionist District. Max Weissman, President. R.S. Hamilton Company. Fish Pier. Boston, Massachusetts. Sweetheart. Paper Products Company. Division. Maryland Cup Corp. Chelsea, Massachusetts. Manufacturers of Sweetheart Cups. Compliments of Haverhill Zionist District. Haverhill, Massachusetts. Compliments of Abraham Ginsburg. Greetings and a salute to Israel, with hopes for peace and security. Tribute Dinner Committee. Joseph I. Sargan, General Chairman. Reuben Epstein, Dinner Chairman. Philip Wernick, President. New England Region. Maurice Betterman. Max Kabatsnik. Milton C. Borenstein. Harry Levine. Frank Bresniak. Mitchell Marcus. Aaron Bronstein. Henry H. Silverman. Maurice M. Cohen Paul. D. Slater. Bernard Garber Judah. M. Stone. Abraham Ginsburg. Lawrence L. Suttonberg. Abraham S. Karff. Lawrence Wolk. Appreciation. We wish to express our gratitude to all who have cooperated in making this journal possible. We appeal to our membership to patronize our advertisers. David Schwachman, Chairman Journal Committee, Zionist Organization of America, New England Region. Officers, President Philip Wernick. Honorary Presidents. Chronologically, Elihu D. Stone *, Dr. Hyman Morrison *, Colonel Benjamin F. Everts *, Ralph F. Bass, Judge Joseph Goldberg, Max Kabatsnik, Coleman Silbert, Samuel Kaplow, Dr. Morton J. Robbins *, Dr. Michael Lukasar, Aaron J. Bronstein, Julius Stone, Jacob Rabinovitz *, Rabbi Joseph S. Shubbo *, Lawrence S. Wolk, Frank Anes, Dr. Percy Lightman, Joseph I. Sargan, Henry H. Silverman, Vice Presidents, Louis I. Altshuler, Morris F. Eisenberg, Morris Entis, Dr. Reuben Friedman, Harold Glickman, Philip Goltz, Reverend Abraham Heckler, H. Charles Reiser, Hyman Wald, Morton Y. Page, Max Weissman, Philip Zeidman, Treasurer, Frank Bresniak, Associate Treasurer, Maurice Betterman, Secretary, Dr. Joseph Rosenberg, Hebrew Yiddish Secretary, Reverend Abraham Heckler, Dr. Reuben Sharonson, Executive Director, Morris D. Cronenfeld, *deceased. I will restore the fortunes of my people Israel, and they shall rebuild the ruined cities and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and drink their wine, and they shall make gardens and eat their fruit. I will plant them upon their land, and they shall never again be plucked up out of the land which I have given them. Amos 9 verse 14-15. Remarks by Representative Gerald R. Ford, Republican, Michigan. Republican leader, U.S. House of Representatives. Before the Zionist Organization of America. Boston, Massachusetts. 6 p.m. Sunday, May 20, 1973. For release on delivery. It is fitting that the Zionist Organization of America has chosen Boston as the site of its 25th anniversary celebration of the independence of the State of Israel. In this very same place, America's struggle for independence began almost 200 years ago. As the leader of my party in the United States House of Representatives, I have the honor to greet this convention and pay my most sincere tribute to the courage and achievements of the State of Israel. I have often heard that Zionism makes for better Americanism. Accordingly, I wish today to share with American Zionists some of my concerns about our own country, as well as the continuing anxieties we feel about the turbulent situation in the Middle East. A few months ago, we embarked on the second Republican administration with the re-election of President Nixon. I feel that so much attention has been focused on certain unfortunate and controversial events in Washington that we are beginning to lose sight of America's relationship to the rest of the world. President Nixon, as well as the Republican Party, began 4 more years of the Nixon administration with an overwhelming national mandate to continue policies that both the United States and Israel found wise and desirable. The Nixon Doctrine emerged in 1969. It was a view of the world that would lead America to listen more and lecture less, inclining us toward partnership rather than paternalism. A test of the Nixon Doctrine was soon applied to Israel. The State Department brought out the Rogers Plan. This plan was based on a premise that the Middle East stood at the brink of war and that the superpowers had an interest in preserving peace by promoting a solution. Israel, backed by the Zionist movement, warned against an imposed settlement and referred to the Nixon Doctrine. More. Page 2. Mr. Nixon then invited Israeli Foreign Minister Golda Meir to the White House. Mrs. Meir was concerned lest unilateral concessions be demanded of Israel, while Arab belligerency was rewarded. Mr. Nixon gave Mrs. Meir his word that Washington would not impose a settlement upon Israel. Mr. Nixon kept his word. In his State of the Union address last January, Mr. Nixon defined his doctrine more explicitly. He pledged that we will help other nations develop the capability of defending themselves. Israel has become a showcase of U.S. military assistance. We recall the dangerous situation that existed along the Suez Canal in the summer of 1970. The Soviet Union placed its airmen and missile battalions in direct support of Egyptian forces. On August 8th of that year, a Suez ceasefire went into effect. It was fashioned by Mr. Nixon. Israel complied with the ceasefire, but the Russians and Egyptians moved missiles closer to the canal, and also violated the ceasefire by introducing new military units in the restricted zone. Mr. Nixon, with full bipartisan support, assumed responsibility and honored his assurances to Israel. We sent Israel our most sophisticated arms, including Phantom jets, and the latest electronic weapons systems, perfected in Vietnam. The U.S. Sixth Fleet was strengthened. Congress voted financial assistance to help Israel maintain the arms burden. The Russians and Egyptians got the message. The ceasefire endured. Our firmness brought about a situation of aggravation between the Egyptians and Russians, with a resulting departure of most Soviet forces from Egypt. As a result of American resolve in supporting Israel 3 years ago, we today find the Russians neutralized in Egypt and a better American position throughout the region. Following the Suez confrontation, Arab terrorism flowed out of privileged sanctuaries to carry on a vendetta against Israel and, tragically, even against our own diplomats. I am sure that this audience recalls that after the outrage at Munich, the U.S. delegation to the United Nations was instructed to veto a resolution that would have blamed Israel rather than the terrorists. Special instructions have been issued for security measures against Arab terrorists in the United States. As a result, we have more. Page 3. Prevented the opening of the new front that the Black September fanatics threatened to open in the United States. President Sadat of Egypt has denounced our efforts to promote an interim peace. He is threatening renewed hostilities. I have noted, in this connection, the recent transfer of French military jet aircraft to Egypt from Libya. France canceled arms sales to Israel while supplying Israel's enemies. She promised to sever shipments to Libya if they were transshipped to the active war zone. Now the president of Libya, Colonel Gaddafi, has called on the terrorists in Lebanon to seize the Beirut International Airport so he can send his French jets to bomb the Lebanese government forces and the Israelis. I feel that this misuse of French arms violates the spirit of our historic cooperation with France. It would be a suitable subject for President Nixon to discuss with the French president when they meet in the very near future. I feel that we have followed a constructive course in the Middle East. We have avoided instant solutions. We know that instant solutions lead to instant wars. A strong Israel is a real guarantor of the survival of responsible governments, whose lands are rich with oil. Radical regimes would exploit the oil in radical ways. This brings us to a subject close to home. We are faced with a domestic gasoline shortage. America is running out of gas, and we are increasingly dependent on Middle Eastern sources. It is my conviction that we must not permit any regime in the Middle East to have Uncle Sam over a barrel of oil. There have been threats from various Arab sources that we must abandon Israel if the oil is to flow. We cannot afford to pay the first installment of such blackmail. If we open ourselves to blackmail, we will never know the timing or extent of future extortions. If the nations possessing oil choose to keep the oil in the ground rather than sell it, they may never realize the profits. Revolution is rampant in portions of this oil-rich region. America must be no more dependent than absolutely necessary on foreign energy sources. The development of our domestic oil and natural gas potentialities, along with nuclear, solar, and more. Page 4. Non-fossil fuels is vital to U.S. national security. We all share concern over the ecology and the preservation of our natural environment. But we need to strike a balance between ecology and our energy needs. Meantime, the environmentalists are filing lawsuit after lawsuit to stop us from drilling offshore, from building new oil refineries, and even from tapping the known oil resources in Alaska. We must mobilize our energy resources, not just out of concern over Israel and over Arab blackmail, but because we are a people accustomed to dependence on our own resources. By 1980, unless something affirmative is done, we will rely upon the Arab states for 50% of our oil. The environmentalists' concern is such that they have prevented the construction of even one single major oil refinery in the United States in the last 7 years. Certainly the time has come for a responsible shift in the pendulum. Saudi Arabia is already forced to pay the Al-Fatah and its Black September terrorists millions of dollars in insurance blackmail. This is to prevent the terrorists from blowing up refineries and pipelines. Similar blackmail is paid by smaller oil states. Libya and Algeria voluntarily financed the Black September from oil profits earned from the United States. Against this background, the Soviet Union is talking trade and peace. But they are meanwhile building a naval base in the Persian Gulf and are speeding naval construction for predominance in the Indian Ocean to control the entrance to the Persian Gulf. Moscow has compromised the Soviet domestic economy to finance more deadly weapons and more sophisticated military units. A new version of the Minuteman-size SS-11 ICBM appears ready for deployment. It will have MRV capability. A new SS-9 type, liquid-fueled ICBM, is being tested. Construction of 100 new ICBM silos proceeds. More. Page 5. The Soviet ballistic missile submarine force, Yankee and Delta class, now totals about 45 operational and under construction. The Soviets are test-flying Backfire, their deadly new supersonic swing-wing bomber. It may already be in series production. Backfire will be assigned, no doubt, to the Persian Gulf. Developments in Soviet tactical aviation have included introduction of the variable geometry wing flogger and fitter B. Soviet naval capability is rapidly expanding, including nuclear-powered ships. On its 25th anniversary, Israel can be justly proud of its defenses and of the morale of its citizen soldiers. The lesson is applicable to the United States, where even our reduced military budgets are met with hostility and false economy. Nations that cannot command respect cannot demand respect. If we back domestic defense needs, we strengthen the hand of America. When President Nixon meets in Washington in a few weeks with Soviet Communist Party leader Leonid Brezhnev, we must deal from strength and not weakness. The Soviet economy is in serious trouble. They want to buy many things from us. We would like to sell our products. But in negotiating, we must be intent on achieving a genuine quid pro quo. I think the President can very appropriately question the Soviet intentions in the direction of the Persian Gulf and Arab oil. If our industry is to produce and process food and machinery for the Soviet Union, they should in no way obstruct the oil that keeps our industry running. Indeed, they should be expected to facilitate our access to natural resources in view of our sharing our own with them. The President could raise a timely question on the dangerous new shipments of Soviet jets and missiles to Syria, a nation that flagrantly provides a base for terrorists attempting to incite global war. What of Soviet Jewry and the so-called education tax? The suspension of the education tax imposed on Jews seeking to emigrate, more, page 6, means nothing unless the Soviet Union actually allows Jews to depart. The widespread harassment of Jews in the Soviet Union is a subject of serious concern to me. I am making known to the President my conviction that the temporary suspension of the exit tax does not by itself resolve this compelling human problem. I would like for him to obtain from Mr. Brezhnev a response that will amount to deeds rather than words. As Israel completes its 25th year, and as our own country approaches its 200th, let us remain unified in our devotion to freedom and peace, with justice for all. I thank you.